pause a little bit and wait, just kind of build the bonds, recognizing that that is hard work. I take energy from being around other people.
We'll welcome back everyone to the regularly irregular mission log for Third Derivative. This is where we get to record the progress of the world's largest climate tech accelerator as we build the plane and fly it at the same time. And Bryan and I tend to try to learn some lessons about how you bring together the ball of wax of startups, corporates, and investors to make progress on climate innovation. And we highlight one great startup every time we do this. So, Bryan, what's the lesson from Mission Log D3, July 3rd, 2021?
So I thought we might focus a little bit on leadership, on self-management, and on kind of strategic planning within, the planning is kind of a dirty word for me when it comes to startups. As we say, plans are useless, but planning is actually pretty helpful. We had a really, really impactful last couple of weeks, Danny. We finalized and kind of ratified and put into action our strategic and operating plan for the next year. We brought our entire team from all over the world together in person for the first time. We have, through an enormous amount of privilege, we're all vaccinated, we were able to get together. Amazing. None of us had ever met each other in real life. And so it was a tremendous chance for us to work together on strategy and also just kind of build the bonds that make the difference between a group of people and a team that's aligned toward fulfilling a specific mission. And a number of other things that we just, everything was coming together at the same time. And one of our key team members who was leading a number of these efforts did a fantastic job. And then naturally, at the end of it all, said, I need to take the rest of the week off. Like, I just need to kind of rest and recover and recuperate. And Danny, that's something we've actually discussed before in Mission Log, the need to make sure that, you go out and do, but then you also build in the time to recover. But in this case, we hadn't really planned for that. So we were in this moment of momentum and we're propelled forward and we're excited. And then all of a sudden we had to just kind of pause a little bit and wait in order to, we had to hurry up and wait, as it were, before we really loaded things up. So it just made me start thinking about planning to build that in, and then also a little more broadly about some of the things that we might do as individuals to help us sustain ourselves through really challenging times, ambitious goals, and trying to do a lot in a very small amount of time.
Just before we go to the sort of individual steps that you can take to self-manage, and I'm with the VUCA, the uncertainty and difficult times, so I want to come to that. But before we do, on the group dynamic, amazing to hear you all got together, which must have been huge and a really important piece of running a team is that bonding and rapport building time. But what I'm hearing you say is the challenge or the lesson is try to get the timing right of the energy cycles of the individuals so they kind of can choreograph constant team forward, team play, even if one person has to rest and recover and take a break, get some stretching in, do whatever they've got to do on the sidelines, the rest of the game goes on.
That's right. And also try to recognize that when there are Herculean efforts necessary to accomplish something, you need to build that recovery in as well, and not assume that as soon as you've ended one Herculean effort, you just immediately start on the next one with the same person. So exactly to your point, maybe there's a way of kind of staggering and staging things such that, like a flock of birds, right? One could be out there leading the way and then gets tired because they're kind of taking the aerodynamic load for everyone else, and then give them a chance to head back, and someone else kind of steps up and sequences in a way that keeps everyone moving forward.
That's right. You guys have that lovely baby bird and baby bird support sort of metaphor, right? What's that?
So for our internal initiatives on JEDI, on justice, equity, diversity, and inclusion, recognizing that is hard work. And it's not stuff that should be done just in your spare time. It's certainly not something that should be done just by the BIPOC or otherwise historically underrepresented members of our team. We have a model in place where we have a leading bird at any given time who's kind of taking ownership and leadership for our JEDI initiatives, but then a bunch of supporting birds as well at any given time. And then when the leading bird is ready to say, look, I need a rest, they intentionally step back, and one of the supporting birds steps up and becomes the new leading bird.
That's really powerful. Okay, so let's talk about the individual though, self-management. What's the tips and tricks we can offer for that?
So here, these are tips and tricks maybe just from my own background. So your mileage may vary. And actually, I'd be really keen for tips and tricks from any of our listeners or viewers as well who may have their own. For me, I have to, they say first rule is know thyself, right? So for me, I'm an extrovert. I take energy from being around other people. This becomes a particular challenge when times get hard because my tendency is to turtle in and say, no, I'm just going to like shut my door and not come out until I finish something. But that actually is de-energizing for me. So I have to be intentional and thoughtful about making sure that I get enough time with other people. It almost, in many ways, it doesn't matter who. Like I just need to be around other people, and that kind of reinvigorates and helps me heal and recover. But more pointedly, I'm at my best when I'm very intentionally making sure that I get enough time with my mentors. And I would say, I don't know if our audience is familiar with the term, but secure bases. These are people in my life who I know will love and support me, even if I take a risk and fail. And I need to spend time with them because that's what gives me the confidence to go out there and take risks and be my kind of best, bold self. And especially in a time like COVID, for the last year and a half, it's not like I have a whole lot of times of just naturally, organically bumping into these people in my life. So I've had to be very proactive and disciplined about making sure that there are, regular calls scheduled, or as the world is opening up a little bit, actually get together for, a coffee here and there to reinvigorate me.
Yeah, great thoughts. Very actual, intentional thoughts, which is important to have self-care on the schedule, actually plan for it, have your touch base with your safe, resource people. That's really cool.
And you mentioned the schedule. And so I would say that's the other thing that I've been trying to do very intentionally is explicitly blocking off my schedule for self-care and in a public way. So it's helpful because it protects that time and makes sure that I might be right in the middle of something, but I say, no, this is part of my schedule, just like a meeting that I would hop onto, just like this video recording. This is the time when I now need to unplug and take care of myself. But by putting it on my public schedule, as opposed to putting something like, hey, personal time, don't bother. It also sends a signal to the rest of the team that that's okay and even encouraged. And so I didn't recognize how impactful that would be until some members of my team said, hey, thank you for doing that. It makes me feel empowered to do the same thing myself, which of course is what we want everyone to do.
Yeah, it norms the right behavior for the distance you're trying to go. Great. Well, look, there's a lot there to chew on for someone that is trying to, also build an important climate solutions accelerator or some similar initiative like the derivative. Lots of things that are good for the group and things that are good for the individual. So thank you. What's the startup of the week? Who are we going to sort of celebrate here?
Yeah, big shout out this week to Frost Methane, one of our startups doing something very interesting. They have a device that they install at concentrated sources of methane that actually turn those emissions into value for the actual property owners or landowners or other partners who are related there geographically. Pretty neat. They focus on active and abandoned coal mines, Arctic permafrost, and even other sorts of geologic sources. But then they're able to earn revenue by decreasing those emissions through a carbon market that they're actually able to generate and sustain. In some cases, they're actually able to collocate electricity generation on site too. So they have a number of different kind of configurations of turning something that's really bad for us right now, like methane flaring, and turning it into something that's actually pretty positive.
Yeah, so they capture the methane, they burn it, make electricity, and they get paid the carbon emission reduction benefits.
That's right. And they have a couple of other things they can do with the methane as well. That same deal. It prevents it from getting into the atmosphere and turns it into a revenue stream for their partners and for themselves through the carbon offset markets.
Awesome. And of course, methane, there's a 22 to 100x greater contributor to greenhouse gas effect because the molecules are just so intense in terms of radiative forcing. So yeah,
that's right. And so we're always excited about Frost Methane. It's an amazing team with an amazing CEO, but we're especially excited about them right now for two reasons. They were just named as a finalist in the Cisco Global Problem Solver Challenge, which had more than 400,000 entries around the world. So really exciting to have kind of made it through that gauntlet. And we wish them luck in the final selection process. But also, they don't have to wait for that. They just received a major grant from the U.S. ARPA-E organization. So nothing like some extra cash in the bank to really help them kind of fulfill their mission and their ambition.
Wow. ARPA-E, the DARPA of the Department of Energy, and that's a big act to win an award from them. Well done to Frost Methane. So good one. Thanks for that. And thanks for doing another great edition of Mission Log Third Derivative.
Cheers, Danny. Always fun to talk with you. And to our viewers, make sure to click that bell. To our listeners, make sure to like, subscribe, give us a rating, and stick around because we are about to announce pretty soon our next cohort of world-changing climate tech startups. Launch of new ambitious funds to invest, expansions into targeted geographies around the world, all kinds of interesting things that we're working on, and of course, lessons that we'll be learning along the way. So stay tuned, and we look forward to sharing this journey together.
Oh, here we go. Thank you, Bryan. Bye, y'all.